We've spoken about some big fighters and some huge fights already tonight, but Mike, this month marks the 50th anniversary of one of the most defining fights in history.
Yes, this was the 20th and last fight as Cassius Clay for the man who became Muhammad Ali, beat Sonny Liston for the world heavyweight title at Miami Beach in Convention Center in Florida all those years ago. Liston at the time regarded as a monster. He'd battered Floyd Patterson twice, each time in a single round, and he had the kind of aura that Mike Tyson would have in later years. And Clay, later Ali, started the fight really well, dominated the first round, won the third round, cut Liston beneath his left eye, and then during the fourth round he was seen to be blinking, and when he got back to the corner, Clay, he said, cut off the gloves, I can't see. And Angelo Dundee, his trainer, who we're about to hear from, convinced him to go out for the fifth round. Ali wanted to walk away right there and then. He feared he was the victim of some kind of sabotage. It seems as though, in hindsight, that there was some liniment, a substance of some kind, applied to the cut on Liston's eye, and somehow that had found its way into Clay's eyes. But anyway, Clay was sent out, virtually pushed out by Dundee for the fifth round, told to stay away, stay out of trouble, stay out of distance. He managed to do that. By the sixth round, he was getting back on top, was very dominant again, so much so that at the end of the sixth round, Sonny Liston, this monster, sat on his stool and refused to come out for the seventh round, it was said, because of a shoulder injury. And so Cassius Clay, who 2 days later would become Muhammad Ali, the legend, was born.
So take me back then to February the 25th, 1964.
Well, at the time, actually, boxing was suffering. There'd been two high-profile deaths in each of the previous years. Benny Kid Parrott had died in 1962, Davey Moore in 1963. Two big hits for the sport, and nobody expected Clay to give the sport the lift that it needed. In his previous fight, which was here in the UK, he'd been floored by Henry Cooper before getting back up to win the fight. Nobody outside his camp gave him a chance. He was a 7-1 underdog, and yet he exuded this almost remarkable confidence, and from a long way out. Angelo Dundee, the trainer I mentioned, died a couple of years ago, but I interviewed him back in 1999 as part of a series for one of the great sporting events of the 20th century, which it was. And he told me about Ali's exploits way out from the fight.
2 years before we were trailing Liston, we went to all his fights. And we would be sitting at the ringside, and he'd knock out a guy, and he'd come walking down the aisle, put his arm around Cassius Clay, says, "Don't worry, son, don't you get hurt. We're going to make a lot of money together, and I'm going to beat you like I'm your daddy." He said, "You're crazy," and he'd run and get away from the guy. Another incident where he went to his house. He lived in Denver then. So he went there and actually went with a busload of people, flashed the lights from the bus on his house. Out comes Liston with a big bad dog, and he really wanted to do a number on, even to the extent when the fight was signed, Liston would come to the airport, and who's there? Lo and behold, with a cane, the kid, chasing him through the airport. Liston run through the airport to the baggage, and then when he came and he started training, he trained at another part of the city in Miami Beach. We went there hooting and hollering, and he went. I didn't hoot and I didn't holler. He did. He had plenty of company to do it with. And he's hooting and hollering, "You ugly bear, I'm going to beat you, I'm going to beat you." Even to the weigh-in, he was so articulate, he had everybody believing he was scared to death. But he didn't mean to give that, because he was going, "I'm going to get you, I'm going to get you, you ugly bear." He's going, "4, get him how many rounds and everything else." And then Liston's going, 1. And the doctor was trying, I don't know, he knew this, but he almost canceled that fight, because he said that Muhammad was scared to death. Muhammad had exerted himself, and the guy took the guy's blood pressure short. The blood shot right up, from screaming and hollering. Okay, the fight went on, but it had to overcome all this adversity.
You've spoken about the histrionics at the weigh-in. What about when it came to time for business? What was he like in the dressing room on the night?
Like he was going to a picnic, like he was going to a dance, nothing. He didn't start loosening up. And in fact, before the fight, his brother was fighting a 6-round fight, preliminary. We stood out in the wings and watched the fight. His brother got the heck kicked out of him. And I figured, negative reaction. No. He said, went back in the dressing room, started getting ready, wrapping his hands and everything. Nothing. No inkling of anything. He was confident he could win. The injection, I always kept telling him that you're bigger than Liston. You're taller than Liston. When you get near the guy, stand tall because you're taller. You'll look down on the guy, all these adjectives were prepared. You don't give him all that verbiage at one shot. You give it to him as you go along. And sure as God made apples, he got in the middle of the ring, and the referee's giving him instructions, and he's looking down on Liston. And he says, "Gotcha, sucker." This reaction. And you see the way he went out in that first round, he kicked the hell out of Liston. Bang, bang, in, out. He hit him a shot, and then the next round or so, he busted him up, hit him with a right hand, busted his cheekbone up. This may have been what blinded him. I think possibly he used a caustic substance on the cut. So Muhammad always just sweat profusely in fights. He may have touched it with his forehead and it ran down to his eyes, because both eyes were sort of affected with the caustic substance, which I tried to wash out when he came back to the corner. He says, "Cut the gloves off." I sat him down, started putting the water in his eyes, and ran up to the referee. I sent Drew Brown over to the referee to tell him to check the gloves of Liston. Maybe it was something on the gloves. So it was a lot of stuff going on that a lot of fans didn't know was going on. And then he was looking, trying to get to the referee. He was blinking. And the referee started to come to the corner, halfway across the ring, and I spotted it. That's when I got him off the stool. "Get up," and I got him up, and the referee went back to the neutral corner. I knew that referee was going to come over, and my kid would say, I can't see," and the referee could have went, no more, he'd forget about it. But thank God the referee didn't come to the corner. My kid got up, and the tear ducts washed out whatever impurities were in there. And he started to proceed to kick the hell out of the guy, and the guy couldn't react to that. The round that he went out after he was blinded, halfway through the round, he started taking control again. Then came on to the 6th round. And then what happened, I'm there working on Muhammad, and he's looking over my shoulder. And I'm seeing him looking like something's going on. That's when I turned, and that's when the referee stopped the fight. But he was the observer, actually, because I couldn't see. My back was towards the action. I was cleaning them up and everything, working with, "Come on, baby, let's go, keep it up, perfect. You're doing what you're supposed to do, box." And lo and behold, the fight was over.
The late Angelo Dundee speaking to Mike Costello, who's also with me with Steve Bunce. And Steve, there's still conspiracy theories around this fight, and we're 50 years on.
Yeah, well, most of the conspiracy theories started to settle in a year or so later when Liston collapsed after what's called the Phantom Punch, which was a great right hand. He went down. And then, of course, the way he died about 9 years later when he was found allegedly with a needle hanging out of his arm, which of course it wasn't. So there's lovely conspiracies, whether he was a mob fighter. But a guy called Johnny Tocco, I'm not inventing these names, who ran a gym in Las Vegas, told me this, and I went and found the copy from 1993. He told me, and he actually said to me, "There's no conspiracy. Sonny was tired and he just quit and sat down." That's what Johnny... And if Johnny Tocco from Las Vegas tells you that, you believe it.
I'm listening. I'm still listening. Mike, it was so atmospheric, that interview as well, and took you right back to the moment. But there are similarities with the way that Ali goaded Liston and almost Groves' behaviour towards Froch as well.
Chirping away from a long time before the fight, just as Groves did with Froch. And you wonder how many boxers now unwittingly are copying Muhammad Ali, Cassius Clay as he was then. He's the one who made the template.